it's predictable bluster from Russia. They will shout, they will bully, they will intimidate. But the only thing Russia will understand is strength, and we should show strength in return and not be in any way cowed by Russia's tactics. Yeah.
Let's return to one of our top stories this evening. And Russia has threatened the UK with consequences after reports that British-made drones, I should say, were used by Ukraine to strike targets on the Russian mainland for the first time. The Ministry of Defence has rejected the threats, saying the UK is committed to providing the equipment Ukraine needs to defend itself against Putin's illegal invasion. Well, let's speak to a former advisor to President Putin, Sergei Markov, joins us on Times Radio tonight. Sergei, hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
What does the Russian embassy, Russian government, mean by price to pay?
Russian, I think, first of all, ask ambassador. He will say more clearly. But as I understand, Russian embassy sent the message of what was idea and thought which have millions of Russian people. And this something like this. Look, if you, Great Britain, has proxy war against Russia, using a Ukrainian army as proxy army, exactly as Iran used Hussites and Hezbollah, and if you more and more involved in such a proxy war against Russia, sometime you will be so deeply involved that you will be in direct war with Russia. And nuclear and war between two nuclear countries can lead to the nuclear catastrophe, nuclear war. It's duty of Russian embassy to send signal to the British public to say, look, you really want nuclear war because you want to destroy monumental of Fyodor Dostoevsky and Leo Tolstoy and to prohibit Russian language in Kiev, which was Russian capital during 3 centuries. You really want to keep yourself in the hole, in the ass after the nuclear war, saving yourself, ask what we are doing, we are stupid.
Okay.
It was a message of embassy, I understand.
Okay, and of course the UK government say that it's not about that at all. It's about supporting the self-defence of a victim in an act of aggression. Hang on, Sergei, let me ask you the question in full, because what I really want to get to here, though, is that we have heard similar threats from Russia before, that there would be consequences over tanks, over F-16s, over long-range missiles. Those threats very rarely, never really resulted in any direct retaliation against a NATO state at all, notwithstanding possible cyber attacks that have been ongoing for a long time. Why should we care about this threat?
Because if somebody provokes somebody, another, and sometimes, provocation, that Great Britain provoked Russia already all these 5 years. Great Britain made a lot of steps to escalation. And Russia tried to avoid such kind of escalation. Russia tried not to give strong response to those British provocation and aggression. But sometimes it will happen. It's very simple. We don't know for sure what moment it will happen. It will be surprise for you very much when you will have real strong response. But you should remember very well, if your government go away of escalation of the more and more involvement in war against Russia, sometime your people will be in such a situation of war.
Okay. It's also worth pointing out that Russia have committed acts of aggression, cyber attacks, poisonings on UK soil. And I wonder if you use the argument, well, that is true, but I wonder if we could come to the argument about transfer of arms. I mean, you mentioned there Houthis supporting Iran, but Russia transfer arms to Iran, North Korea, to Houthi forces. The logic that Russia are attempting to use against the United Kingdom here could be very easily applied to them.
It's another issue a little bit. It's something that 3 years ago, Turkey and some other countries suggest that let's have a war, but don't bomb ships in the Black Sea and Azov Sea and in the Cherry Sea and so on. Let's allow them to go, so-called grain deal. And this deal continued to be, but 2 months ago, Vladimir Zelensky decided that Ukrainian army is losing the war on the front line. That's why Zelensky should collect drones from Great Britain, France, Germany, and started to attack Russian ships. And he started to do it, and he was doing this. And Russia say, okay, if so, we will start also to attack ships to Ukrainian ports and from Ukrainian ports. It's one direction. Another direction, European countries, including Great Britain, say, look, we tried to crash Russia already almost 5 years, and it was absolutely has no result. So we probably it's because Russia has money because of selling its oil.
Okay.
So let's organize pirate attack against Russian tankers, capture this oil, and after this decision of European Union and Great Britain, Vladimir Putin answered. So sorry.
Okay.
If we will take our ships, we will take your ships.
Right. Okay. Well, once again, the United Kingdom. Okay. I hear that, Sergei, but once again, the United Kingdom would obviously say that is the support of a victim in the act of aggression. Also, those strikes have been used against military and energy infrastructure that's been tied to Russia's war. Let me ask you this final question, though, Sergei, which is that, look, we're talking this week a little bit about how this war is being felt in Russia and being felt in people's lives. High inflation, fuel shortages, drone incursions. The truth is, and Vladimir Putin's personal approval ratings have fallen by about 15% since late last year. Truth is, he's under pressure at home, isn't he?
Its pressure exists. I personally had problems with getting gasoline to my personal car. Luckily, I bought electricity car, a second one, and can use it now. I saw a lot of lines to the gasoline station, but you should remember very well from history. More pressure from on Russia will have just more strong Russian response. If you question about this, ask Napoleon Bonaparte, ask Adolf Hitler. They will give you very good advice. Never attack Russia. Okay. Never make pressure against Russia if you want to be happy and in peace.
Okay. Sergei, thank you for your time tonight. That is Sergei Markov, who is a former advisor to President Putin. I think it's worth hearing, isn't it, that in the context of today's news, to hear what Russia is saying and to challenge some of those points.
There's been lots of strong talk from the government following Russia's threats against the UK for supplying drones to Ukraine. The Sunday Times revealed this weekend how British-made drones were being used by Ukraine to hit targets deep inside Russia. The Russian embassy here said there would be consequences for that. But Andy Burnham said he was 100% behind Ukraine.
This is the UK doing what it has long said it would do, which is to support Ukraine 100% against this illegal war led by Vladimir Putin. We are providing support so that Ukraine can defend itself, and that's been the British position all the way through this conflict by previous prime ministers. It remains the case with me. We are not fair weather friends. We will be there in Ukraine's hour of need, and that won't change.
But given the problems we have finding enough money to spend on defence, how far can we really help Ukraine? General Sir Richard Shirreff is former Deputy Supreme Allied Commander for NATO. Good morning.
Good morning.
When the Prime Minister says we're standing behind Ukraine, do we have the capacity to do that in a meaningful way that would change the outcome of the war?
Britain, as a state, and Britain private sector absolutely has the capacity to do what needs to be done to support Ukraine. And actually, far from concerns about the extent to which we have been supporting, I would say we need to do more. We've led from the front from the start of this full-scale invasion. We've done what needs to be done, or had contributed enormously to the defense of Ukraine. But we also need to understand that the only way there will be a lasting ceasefire is when Russia is defeated, and we need to change the the strategy on that score.
I appreciate this is looking back rather than forward, but was it a mistake not to give Ukraine the powers to use these British-made weapons or drones in the way they are now at the beginning of the conflict?
Yes, it certainly was. And this is, in a sense, at the start of the full-scale invasion, Ukraine was fighting with one hand tied behind its back because of concerns about the impact of offensive weaponry. Absolutely. And it's good to see now that those concerns seem to have gone away.
Yeah, we've had this threat back from Russia, and we were talking to Dominic Housechild, who's the defence correspondent at the Sunday Times, who broke that story over the weekend, who said, look, we weighed up whether we were going to publish this story, that it was the UK supplied drones that had been used inside Russia. But he said Russia knows that we've been doing this. This is no surprise to them. Given that, Sir Richard, what do you make of the threats that have come back from Russia, directed right directly at London and the UK?
Well, it's predictable bluster from Russia. They will shout, they will bully, they will intimidate. But the only thing Russia will understand is strength, and we should show strength in return and not be in any way cowed by Russia's tactics. Yeah,
it's interesting that you say bluster. That doesn't suggest a sort of a real force to be reckoned with coming from Russia. I mean, what do you think, if there was going to be some sort of reprisal, what might that look like?
Well, let's be clear. Russia is a deadly adversary, as it's demonstrating with its genocide in Ukraine. And we need to be ready and able and more than capable of deterring any likely adventures by Russia, because Russia's in a difficult place at the moment. Yeah, they are striking Ukrainian cities on a nightly basis, and that is horrific. But the Ukrainians have really taken the fight to the Russians with the deep strikes, the interdiction of supply lines in and out of Crimea, and the effectively pushing the Russians back in many places in the eastern Donbass. So Putin's got a problem here. And what do? I mean, this is a classic rat caught in a corner. He may well lash out in some other way. So we've got to be ready for that.
Thank you so much for your time, General Sir Richard Shirreff. Really appreciate it. Former Deputy Supreme Allied Commander of NATO.
I will always remember the day of the invasion of Ukraine. Richard came on. I remember it was 8 o'clock in the morning. We got into work at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we saw this convoy approaching. Didn't quite get, obviously never got to Kyiv famously, but it was sort of approaching. I remember Richard came on and explained the gravity of the situation, the enormity of the situation. And he's always been, since then, that's 3 years, he's been this voice that comes on periodically onto this programme, and you always pause and listen, because he's very good at... There's a different... Russia is a blustery threat, but equally, people who are blustery and autocratic can do dangerous things. And therefore, you've got to somehow be calm enough to recognise the bluster, but prepared enough to recognise the danger. And he seems to be very good at striking the balance between those two things.